Welcome back to the Purple Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm Rick.
And it's that time of the week when Rick and I sit down to go through the headlines.
In the current media landscape, everything is printed in red or blue. Ben and I try to find the purple area between the lines.
We ask questions, apply logic, and discover what stories were written by the headline heroes.
Just like the news, we're not always right and we don't always agree, but we always look for some sort of common ground.
Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment or send an article you'd like us to discuss over at purplepoliticspodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or at Rick and Ben on Twitter. Albany this week is in the headlines. Mr. Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, decided to put out his budget. He's adding not adding 175 billion, but the budget's going to be 175 billion. We thought we'd go through this episode, go through that, nitpick it a little bit.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about this on the local radio stations.
I heard he got a raise.
Oh, he did ask for he's getting 10,000 extra bucks.
I guess that's 250 grand a year now.
Something like, I think it was like 175 to 180, but it's close to 200.
I don't know.
But yeah, he's already bitching about us being overtaxed, or he's not bitching about us being overtaxed, but he's bitching about people leaving the country or the state and going to Florida.
Right.
Now, I'm going to be the first person to say that it is not all the taxes that are sending people to Florida. We have snowbirds. All right,
yeah,
people that have lived in our snow belt for 50 years are like, fuck this, I am done. I'm going to Florida.
I'm at that point right now. I've just had enough. I'm over the bullshit weather.
I agree. And this year was a good winter, but it was also a fucking horrible winter.
Oh,
we had so many 50-degree days, but then
rain and 50, and then the next day it's negative 30 and snow, and it's a blizzard.
I've never had so much ice on my truck since I've started driving. This year was just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, global warming's bullshit.
Yeah, global warming bullshit. We believe in global warming.
Yeah. Well, apparently so does Andrew Cuomo, because he put the plastic bag ban in there. So all the grocery stores up here by March 2020, I think it is, has to get rid of all disposable plastic bags.
Yep. And there are some exceptions. I can't remember what there are. It's not grocery stores, but I think certain delivery companies still get to use them.
Like your dry cleaner. Those bags aren't
right.
Banned. Things like that. Bags. But for a company like Wegmans, how many plastic bags do you think they make and use and go through? Listen, I'm a little pissed off because now I got to figure out how I'm going to carry my friggin' groceries. So I'm going to pay too much for my groceries. Then I got to go to the self checkout because nobody wants to pay a checkout clerk. So I got to check my own shit out. And now I got to bring my own goddamn bags. Yep. What's next? I got to bring my fucking food to the store and then just pay them and walk back out with it?
You're going to have to go to the grocery store and put in your own order for the delivery guy.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
I don't mind the plastic bag. I think I used to, but I think with all the things that I've seen in like the oceans, like the documentaries.
God, it's horrible.
I mean,
horrible. That bracelet company is going to be out of business if we clean up all the plastic bags.
I know. I can't really hit hard on this because I do think, I mean, he does have an option in there to charge 5 cents per bag.
Well, so paper bag.
Oh, for paper. That's right.
Now you got to pay 5 cents to use a friggin' or a paper bag. Why is the state charging the 5 cents? Is it their tree?
It's because it's fucking New York. New York has to. Everything is a money making scheme. I mean, half of these things in here you're gonna see.
Well, the nickel for each paper bag. That's the kick up. That's his raise. That they let him have.
I can't believe you're gonna do that.
That's what pissed me off.
We are the highest tax state. Yeah, then you want to raise.
Oh yeah, it's fucking some more.
And nobody fucking wanted you to be governor anyways. And I know everybody right now is like, but he's governor.
Yeah.
New York City elected him.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna get into that right now. We'll get into that in a couple episodes.
Yeah, I want to get back on the 5 cent paper bag. What does the paper bag have anything to do with New York? What does that have to do with New York?
It has to go to a recycling center, and then the recycling center has to recycle it.
And you know what? And we pay for our fucking garbage here.
And then they make money off of that paper anyways.
Oh, yeah. Well, they used to because they used to ship all the recyclables to China. And I watched a documentary on this, and now China says, we don't want your fucking garbage no more.
Yeah.
So now all these, recyclers, now they got all this recyclables they can't do nothing with.
Right.
So now the people are having to pay to take it away. But this is bullshit. I'm okay. Plastic bag ban. Plastics bad.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get, like my wife, she has all those reusable bags.
Fuck that.
I think they're trying to get you to use those, what are they, canvas or something?
Yeah, and then you got to check yourself out. I mean, come on.
That checking myself out thing is bullshit. Why am I not getting a discount for my groceries?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll go back to Cuomo. This isn't Cuomo's fault. This is just everybody wants that $15 an hour, so they're going to try to figure out how not to have employees. So it's our own fault for wanting $15 an hour.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah.
So he's not trying. He's upping education funding by $1 billion to, what is it, $27.9 billion.
Yeah, we're going to throw more money at shit programs and hope that they do better.
Well, schools do need more funding.
They do.
But they're not using the funding for what they need.
No.
But the one thing I do like, as long as it is on top of what they're already getting, is $700 million of that $1 billion is going to the poorest schools.
It has to.
I mean,
that's where the real problems are.
So when you look at discrimination and stereotypes and all this stuff, it all goes back, I believe, is how we raise our children and how we educate our children. So if children see more of a utility in going to a gang, they're going to go to the gang because they're going to get money faster. But if we can start educating these children and obviously a lot of it has to do with systemic racism. I get it. I'm not one of those white people that doesn't believe in racism and they've been held down in housing and stuff.
Whoa, wait. You're white?
I know I sound not white, but I am pretty much the poster child for a neo-Nazi. I mean, other than the boots, if you look at me, I'm a bald white guy. And I am bald because God does not want me to have hair, not because I choose to be bald.
Explains why you're so angry.
All bald white guys are angry?
Yeah. That's a stereotype.
But yeah, so if you think about it, if he's adding $1 billion, but $700 million of that is going to the poor schools, at least that's a positive.
Right.
I mean, that's something you can tell he's looking at it. He understands that they need it. Whether all $700 billion is going to end up in the poor schools in New York City or get spread around the state, that's a whole different story. We'll find out.
You know what's funny is I just got a message from Facebook, and what they're saying is the $700 million is going to the poorest schools so his buddies can go in and do contract work and they can siphon the cash back
my
out.
God, that's so good. But yeah, as long as it is going to the poorest and it's on top of what they were already getting.
Right.
And I guess out of this, all districts will be required to report how their funding is being allocated within the school district. And that's another good thing because we just said that the money isn't actually getting spent properly, and this is attacking that.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Here's my big problem. So he's trying to make everybody think that he's doing something great by capping our property tax.
2%'s a lot.
It's a lot, but what is the backfall of that? What's going to happen after he caps it at 2%? Now my $100,000 home, here's just an example.
It's going to be worth more.
Right. My assessor is already, and I'm not lying to you guys, my house is literally worth $100,000. I have a small house. I have an 1.25 acres land. Not hiding anything. $100,000 is the most I'd ever get for it. My assessor has it at like $130,000. I put it in the notes. He's overassessed it by $10,000. And that's because I already know that they're going to put $10,000 on it.
Right.
And then I gave him another $10,000 leeway, but he still has me at $130,000. All they're going to do now is my $100,000 home is now worth $200,000.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to pay me $200,000 for it, but I have to pay taxes on that.
Right. Yeah.
That's the bullshit scam there.
Yeah. And didn't they go through something like that in Cicero where they kept raising the taxes?
They had to go through
and raising the taxes.
They fired the assessor, and they had to go hire a new one, and he had to reassess all the homes because he was over assessing everybody.
Yeah, like your guy.
Because you could complain. You can go in and put a complaint, and then they can come back out there. But what that guy was doing in Cicero was going, no, your house is worth $170,000, and everybody's like, well, why am I only getting $70,000 for my house? It's obviously not worth $100,000. We don't live in an area where the property values rose like they did in California or down south.
Right. Well, our taxes rise, not our property value.
Right, but that housing bubble never hit us.
Right.
You know, we just got hit by, we were already getting hit by New York State. So the housing bubble was like, we'll just let the air out here.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. And a lot of people that aren't from New York don't understand this. Yeah. I don't know about you, but my taxes, they're easily a mortgage payment. So what I pay for my mortgage,
double that.
Yeah. You know, and that's, you know, my mortgage payment's probably almost 50% tax.
Right.
And, you know, if I lived in any other state, let's say I lived in Florida, I could probably afford a home 3 times the value of the house I currently have, and my payments would be roughly the same.
But at the same time,
or I could own multiple houses.
If you just take my house, pick it up, and set it down in like North Carolina,
oh yeah,
it is automatically $100,000 more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
absolutely.
I think that is the tax breakdown.
Right.
Is economically based on economics, they know we can't afford. We have to pay the taxes.
Right.
We're just like, you know, I can only afford $100,000 for that house.
Right.
Whereas you cut out all that taxes down south, it's like, yeah, I can afford $200,000 for that house because
right.
I'm only paying $100 a month in taxes.
Right. Right.
So you're absolutely right about that. We've talked about this before, but Cuomo's eliminating cash bail for misdemeanors and nonviolent arrests. Now, our local radio guy, Bob Lonsbury, I caught him the other day on the way home from work, and he was flipping out about this. He's like, you mean these people can, like, rape you? And I'm not direct quoting. He was just blowing air out of his, you know, he hates the left.
Yeah. Hence the word misdemeanor, not felony offense there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bob Lonsbury, Mr. Meaner.
Yeah, Mr. Meaner.
But
I could go so much further with that and rhyme it right up, but I'll just leave it. Oh, look, one of our Facebook just made a comment. Mr. Meaner is a wiener.
There you go.
Oh man,
you
guys are killing me. Keep them coming, because when I see funny shit, I'm just gonna say it in the show.
But we've talked about bail before, and it does, I mean, it negatively affects based on race. There's no denying that, because the lower income people, they can't afford the bail. They're getting bail for bullshit, but then they miss the bail, and then they can't show up, and then they get longer sentences because of that.
Oh yeah, it's a vicious circle. And I gotta agree, you know, on this misdemeanor shit. You know, what's the sense in it? You know, if they don't show up for their court date, you know,
then do something.
Then do something. You know, there is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. You know, so
Not
on a
anymore.
misdemeanor, you're guilty until proven innocent. Just ask Joe Biden. But did I just really say that out loud?
I think you did.
Yeah. So, anyways, you know, on a misdemeanor, you know, what sense does it make? You know, to even have a cash bail. You know what I'm saying? So,
but all right. So one part I will push back on with his prison, with his legal fight, his prisons. He wants to close 3 prisons, and he says it'll save $35 million. He says the state prison population is declining, which
because he let them all out to vote last time.
Right, but he's gonna have to put them back in
eventually.
You know?
Yeah, statistically, even say a third come back in.
And I know this is a horrible way to look at it, but on this podcast, we have to look from every side.
Yeah.
So the reason why a lot of the times we seem like we're super right-leaning, especially me, is because I am a little right-leaning. I'm dead center, little right, you know?
Yeah.
But I look like I'm a far wall right, just because everything
so you sit down next to one, you start talking, you don't realize how close to the middle you actually are.
Right, but anytime a party is in power, the other side is going to come after them. So I am just looking at it from their point of view.
Right.
We are always looking at from everybody's point of view. So right now I have to look at the towns that these prisons are in. Now, I'm not saying that we need to keep people in prison just because we need to support these towns.
Right.
But we could spread the prison population. Why close the buildings down? They're already there. There's already people working at them. Now, at worst case, we have to lay off a few people instead of laying off an entire town.
And that's what happens.
You're right. I'm not exaggerating, because now the guards, they don't have jobs. All these people, you go down to, I was just there with a delivery and I forget the name of it. Napa Notch, New York has a prison. All those people there either work in the local town stores or at the prisons.
Right. Auburn's the same way.
Auburn. So say the prison closes down in Auburn.
Yeah, it'd be a big deal.
Now these people say they don't get fired. They just get transferred to other prisons. They leave.
They got to move.
They have to move.
It's going to hurt local business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
more houses for sale. Then you got a saturated market.
So I'm not saying we need to have people. I don't want innocent people in jail. I don't want people serving time for things that they didn't do or longer sentences than they need to.
Right.
But why close them down when it's just going to create a horrible domino effect?
Now, here's the other thing. We have such an overcrowding issue. If these prisons are truly that empty, we shouldn't have any overcrowding. We should be transferring these prisons to fill it in to 100%. Get to the proper levels.
I 100% agree. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right.
And this 35 million that he's talking about saving, I bet you if you get the overcrowding under control, you're going to save money just on that alone.
Yeah.
Just think of how much bullshit goes on from overcrowding.
Yeah, I mean, I think violence is always going to happen in prison. All right?
Of course it is.
We don't live in a perfect
there are
world.
most of them are violent offenders.
But I think packing people in like that
does not help. It can make a sane person violent.
Exactly.
I don't know. Prison's a rough place, man.
Yeah, I've never been there.
There's very different rules there. There's a different packing order there. Yeah, I think, you take a lot of people that have trouble in their life and done something bad, and you pile them on top of each other, more bad things are going to happen. More, and I believe in my heart, instead of closing 3 prisons, take the overcrowding, get every prison back to what their actual capacity used to be, and you're going to have less problems in the prisons.
Yeah.
You really will. You really will.
No,
because the prisoners are going to be happier. Okay, and I can already hear the bullshit right now. Oh, they're not supposed to be happy. They commit a fucking crime. Whatever. There's a humane way to do it. And stuffing 50 people in a 10-person room is not humane.
Nobody that listens to this show is going to think that Ben is, sympathetic at all.
Right.
I agree with you.
Right. So if their attitude's better, maybe with a more positive and a better attitude instead of that negative outlook every time they open their eyes, they're just walking back into the shit. They may be able to focus on other more positive things. This could be a blessing in disguise. I say don't close them prisoners down. Are you going to save $35 million my way? No. But you are going to save some money, and you might get some additional productive citizens that come out and stay out.
Yeah. And that's the role of prison.
Yeah.
Lastly, the DREAM Act. Lawmakers endorsed a proposal to make financial aid available to students who were brought into the country illegally. Now, this is going to appropriate funds that were included in the budget. Now, I just said I don't have sympathy, but I have sympathy for these kids. They didn't ask to come here.
I got mixed feelings on this, man.
I do too. We need to help all the children, but that also promotes sneaking your kids in. It's like feeding the bear.
Yeah. Or taking a selfie with the lion or the tiger or whatever.
It just promotes more.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the ones that are here. I feel bad for them because children never make the choice.
I'm going to be devil's advocate. How many actual citizens are not going to get money because it's going to go to the quote unquote illegal alien?
Exactly. I mean, that's always the problem.
It's just like the college scam. These rich fucking assholes bribe their kids' ways into these schools, and there's poor kids. So, there's poor kids that didn't get in because of it.
I'm going to bring this up, or I'm going to comment on this because you brought it up.
I brought it up. Yeah.
So what they did is bad.
Yeah.
But as a parent, with that much money, would I do that for my child? I don't know. Probably.
No would be my answer. I love my kids. No. You know what? You got to work hard to get somewhere.
But here's the other thing.
You work hard. All right? Follow me for a minute. You work hard. I work hard. If I show my kids that there's just an easier way, you don't have to work hard. You just got to know the right people. How productive?
See, I'm taking the point where they paid the guy to fix the answers, and the kid doesn't know that they didn't do it right.
Well, okay.
So
let's take it one step further. The kid can't pass the SAT or get a high enough score. So then they get them into college and they want to be, I don't know, let's say a doctor, let's say a heart surgeon. And the kid's still an idiot. Okay.
Well,
Can't figure it out.
I'll tell you this right now.
So hold on.
No,
Mom and dad
wait.
spend a little bit more money and they get the grades. Then they get the degree. Then they get the job. And then there's some poor schlep that's in there with heart disease and they're treating him for a hangnail.
You already lost me at SAT because SAT has no bearing on how you're going to do in that field.
I understand what you're saying.
But
you got to pass it to get in.
That's my point.
That's my point.
But we have the exact same point, but with we veer off on different paths.
Yeah.
You can go to school and you can learn a lot of shit and you become the best doctor in the world and you cannot pass a single test because you're not a good test taker.
Okay. And the percentage-wise, how many people are good doctors that can't take tests?
So go the other way. You don't help your kid. You tell them they have to do the hard work.
Yeah.
And they're not getting it. They're doing their hardest. They're not getting. And I'm not saying these two idiots kids were doing the hardest. Right. All right. I'm just being devil's advocate. Would I do this for my kid? Yeah. Because here's the other option.
So let me ask you a question. You would Photoshop one of your children's face on a water volleyball player to?
Well, that's the guy they paid to get him into college.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I paid this guy to help me
and that's
get my
what he
kid
does.
into college.
And you're okay with that?
Am I okay with it?
You hesitated, so you're not. You'd spend the money to get your kid in, but you
if
wouldn't do all the dirty shit that he had to do to get there. You would.
Everybody would.
I wouldn't.
I totally disagree with you.
I wouldn't. I genuinely wouldn't.
But the thing is, we're not in a position to do it. We're in a position to see our kids struggling to get into these positions that these other kids taken. But we're not in a position to be like, yeah, I have the money to do that. Because you know what? We do a lot of things for our kids that other people can't do for their kids.
Right.
And we probably do some shady shit for our kids at some point.
Honest to God, I would not do that.
No,
I believe you. I wouldn't. You want to know why my heart goes out to the kid that gets fucked on that deal. You know, because that's the one that's really trying, really applying themselves, really working. That just says hard work don't mean shit and money means everything.
You know what the truth is?
Take your ass out of here.
You know what the truth is? Hard work don't mean shit.
But it should.
It never will.
It should, though.
It never will. So knowing that mathematics.
Yeah.
I mean.
It should.
It absolutely should.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But.
All right. So back to Cuomo. So I mentioned this week.
Didn't he get a raise? It's only $250,000.
That's how we bring it back around. That's how we take the heat off of Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mentioned at work this week to a buddy that I had a podcast and it was political, and he goes, "Sit down. I've got a conspiracy for you." So we haven't really gone into conspiracies yet, but he said this and I thought about it. And I was like, perfect. It goes with our Cuomo segment.
Yeah.
So he mentions that Cuomo wants to take away our guns, and he's going to do it by legalizing marijuana. And right off the bat, I was like, bullshit. And he goes, no, listen to me. He goes, every state legalizes pot except for Washington, D.C. It's still federally illegal. You're still committing a felony every time you buy marijuana.
Right.
In New York State, you cannot own a gun if you're a felon. And I pushed back on him. I was like, yeah, but you're still not a felon.
No.
Until
the federal government catches
you and makes you a felon.
Right.
So I thought I had that one. And he's like, no. Listen. It is kind of going just like I'm making it sound. It was kind of like conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
So he's like, listen, when you want your license, and you're going to need a license to buy medical marijuana. It's not just you're 18, you can go in and buy medical marijuana. So you go in, or say it is like you just need your license. When you go to a gas station, you buy a pack of cigarettes, 99.9% of them will not just look at your license. They have to physically scan it. I know Fast Tracks. They will not, if your license does not scan, they will not sell you a pack of cigarettes.
I didn't know that, but I don't buy cigarettes.
Yeah. So neither do I. I just saw it happen at one. And so they scan it. He's like, do you think they don't keep track of who they're scanning for cigarettes? He goes, there's just another way for them to keep track of you. So now you go to buy some medical marijuana. They scan your license. You're now in a database. Now you can't buy a gun because you've committed a felony. And I was like, that's bullshit. That's not going to happen. What are your thoughts on that? Just so far. Because this is the first I brought it up to you.
he's really anti-gun, and it would be a trick box. You know, and you know, a lot of countries, it's not federally, it's not legal because of our trade agreements, and a lot of people aren't going to understand that when I say that. That's why the states are just like, well, fuck it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
But listen, there's a hustle on this that goes all the way back to George Washington, right? Because a lot of people don't know George Washington grew hemp.
Yep. No, I knew that.
There were a lot of hemp farmers.
Yep.
You know, and then all of a sudden, somebody couldn't get their hands in the pie, and they said, hemp's now illegal.
Yep.
That's really how it started. It, of course, is a very abbreviated version.
Right. We're an abbreviated podcast.
Right. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, I can see a politician using this as a tool to strip somebody of guns.
Yep.
Because I really can. I really can.
I sat down and thought about it when I got home, because that was the end of our conversation.
Yeah.
He had to go on his run. I had to go on my run. And I thought about it when I got home. I was like, that would be sneaky as shit. Let me look this up.
Yeah.
Tapped it in the computer, and boom, I got like just a ton of Google posts. So one of the first ones I clicked on was this one. It's newsleader.com. And it's about how Missouri residents won't legally be able to have a license for medical marijuana and possess a firearm at the same time, even though voters overwhelmingly added Amendment 2 to the Missouri Constitution. So I'm assuming Amendment 2 meant that you could smoke pot or whatever. But the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms wrote in 2011, Federal Law on Guns and Marijuana. John Hamm, Public Information Officer with the ATF in the Kansas City Field Division, he said that anyone who is, quote, an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance is prohibited from possessing firearms or ammunition. So I almost called him Trump. Cuomo, they're both fucking idiots. Cuomo can take this thing from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms
and pull everybody's firearms. I wouldn't put it past them.
You know how far I'd go with this? Now Ben's being a conspiracy theorist. I bet you he'd wait until everybody applied for their license.
Yeah. And
the first time they bought pot, be like, "Oh, you didn't read the fine print."
Yeah.
That's where I see this going.
Yeah.
And that's what people. That's the one reason I brought up this conspiracy is how.
I'm surprised the NRA hasn't been all over this.
Me too. But I think it's because it actually hasn't happened to anybody, and nobody's thrown a shit fit about it.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. I can't smoke pot whether I want to or not because I'm federally regulated,
right?
DOT. So I don't care. I can shoot all the guns I want and then get in a truck and drive down the road. I'm good. But for those people that can and want to shoot guns, I mean, people get drunk and shoot guns all the time.
Yeah, people get
Did
drunk.
you hear about the two guys that were shooting each other in the vest to test if they worked, and then they came up with like their own little conspiracy?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I was taking the he didn't call him target. What are you the asset?
Yeah.
And oh, fuck you, dude. Why didn't you just tell him that, oh, we were drunk being stupid? Then you wouldn't have gotten in trouble.
Right.
They would have been like, all right, you guys are idiots.
So here's the deal with the weed and the weapons, okay? I don't think, and I would really need someone to show me an article or a case where somebody is really high on weed and committed some kind of armed robbery. Most people that smoke weed are generally not violent people anyways. I'm going to go as far to say a lot of weed smokers probably don't even own guns.
Yeah, I'd agree.
You know, and a lot of fanatics. Oh, air quote. I just did a Ben. I air quoted fanatics.
I need to get an air quote button.
Yeah.
Air quote.
They're probably not smoking marijuana.
Right.
You know, so, you know, with that being said, I can see this as them making this a tool to unjustly strip somebody of their right to bear arms.
Right.
Okay. Especially if the person seems a little addled and they can't get this individual a different way. Oh, well, shit, here's a way. He's got a medical marijuana card. Bingo.
Yep.
You know,
I just thought it was weird that to me, it was like all conspiracy theory. And then I got home, I couldn't get it out of my head. And then I found 10 articles immediately on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because people are talking
all different
about
states
it.
too.
Yeah, and like I said, someone needs to tag the NRA in this episode, just so I would love to get an opinion on this.
All right, real quick, we got a quick cap for you. I am not even going to try to say this lady's name, but we've all heard the story of the lady. I think it was a road rage incident. Like, she was blocking a guy, and a white guy beat a black lady and maybe pulled a gun on her.
What state?
Texas.
Oh, so nothing happened to him.
Well, no, he got arrested.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Oh. But the issue we're talking about right now is that she was also arrested, and everybody is up in arms because she got arrested. And it appears that after this guy beat her, she went up to his car and either broke his windows or damaged his windows, did something to his windows.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So she created property damage. So the Texas police. Now, for me, it's, and I hate to say this, it's black and white. All right. You commit a crime, you're in trouble.
Well, you can't bash somebody's windows out in front of the police officer.
Right. She could have beat the shit out of the guy. Like, she could have fought back and gotten away with it. But then she didn't do it in front of the officers. I think the guy pressed charges against her.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
And everybody's
he
up
whipped her ass, and then she bashed his friggin' windows out.
And I'm fine with that.
And then the cops showed up. Yeah,
and
I'm fine with that too.
I'd blow his fucking car up. I don't give a shit.
That's what he gets for hitting a woman.
But here's my problem. These people are going after the police. And by these people, I just mean the people protesting. And I'm not doing a black-white thing.
No.
But
the outraged were outraged.
Right.
So let's pick it.
So they're going after the police saying, you know what, she just got beaten up. And I have to give them to the Dallas police official. He said, we don't want these victims to feel that they cannot have an avenue or that the police department is going to, in some sense, turn their backs on the victim. That's not what he did. What he did was, quote, when we have a victim of an offense, but then we have a second victim in that same episode, we have to take everybody's rights. We have to take all the circumstances of that incident. So that dude committed a very bad crime. And she committed a slight crime.
Right.
Now, she has been released.
Right.
Charges have been dropped, but the police did their job. They did their job, and then the district attorney
I agree.
dropped the charges.
I agree. That's what that officer has to do. Now, let's say he didn't charge her. There'd be an outrage. There'd be different picket. I guarantee one of them picketers, they're like, oh, what do you hear? Oh, I'm picketing
There wouldn't be an outrage. There would be an outrage. I hate to do this. If the colors were swapped. If a black man beat up a white lady, or if a...
Yeah, no, you're right. If a black man whooped a white lady's ass and she broke his windows and got arrested for it, people be freaking out.
Yeah.
It's no different.
So, I mean...
But I bet you some of them picketers don't even know why they're there.
That's how I wanted it to come out. If a black man beat up a white lady and broke his windows, there wouldn't be an outrage.
If she got arrested?
Oh, you know what? You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they'd be outraged that a white woman got beat by a black man and she broke his windows and she got arrested. Yeah, they'd be lined up down the block.
I also don't think she would have been arrested.
Probably not. But like I was going to say, these picketers, I guarantee some of them don't even know why they're there. What do you picket in? $15 an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. That's down the block.
That's over there.
Yeah. They're just professional picketers.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a problem?
You're right. I just had it backwards in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
My mind was going.
Yeah. My mom dropped me off in the wrong corner. Sorry.
All right. Well, that's been the episode. I'm your host, Ben.
I'm Rick.
And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Remember to subscribe to the Purple Politics Podcast to keep up to date with all of the headline heroes. Did we get something wrong? Find us at Rick and Ben on Twitter or Purple Politics Podcast on social media. Our complete show notes with links to the articles and videos discussed can be found at purplepoliticspodcast.com. Music in this episode was written and performed by Jahzzar and is titled Magic Mountain. Editing of this episode was done by myself, bfranke, and all research was done by myself and Rick Eldred. Thanks for listening.
Just snapped at me.
I ain't your bitch.
I ain't your bitch.